Welcome to Bump Set Chat, the podcast where volleyball professionals come on and share their stories, experiences, and advice. And today, Jacob Pasteur with Ohio State University. Welcome to Bump Set Chat, podcast for volleyball professionals, coaches, players to come on and share their experiences and stories and advice. And today I have Jacob Pasteur from the Ohio State University. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Barry.
Yeah, glad you're here. I really appreciate you taking the time. And the way we start things off is with 3 random questions. So are you ready?
Always.
All right. So when you go home to Maryland, what is the meal you look forward to the most?
Orange chicken and rice from Trader Joe's.
All right, there we go. All right, prediction. Who's going to win the tournament, the basketball tournament?
I mean, everyone's bracket's already out. I don't even know. I don't even think I have a guess. Well, let's take a random guess at Auburn.
All right, there we go. All right, and what's the last TV show or movie you watched?
Movie I watched? I watched Inglourious Bastards.
Oh, great movie.
Fantastic movie. It was on the back of my mind for a while and finally had some time to sit down. It's like 2.5 hours, so quite a chunk of time, but
yeah,
fantastic movie.
It is. All right, so welcome to the podcast, and how's the season going so far?
Season's been going good. It's been tricky. I mean, I think every team has its ups and downs. I think in college, downs can get pretty dramatic, I think, with people balancing stuff on and off the court.
Yeah.
It gets hard to compartmentalize, especially younger guys as they're learning to develop those skills. Mm-hmm. It's kind of hard to keep work at work. But overall, I'm pretty happy with our season. We've had some pretty big wins, some obviously disappointing losses, but I think this group has grown a lot and on the right path in the most important part of the season towards playoffs.
Excellent. And this is your final year, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep, my last year.
Nice. And let's go back to the beginning. When did you discover volleyball?
I discovered volleyball at the end of 8th grade. So I grew up playing baseball, soccer, football, tennis, basketball, basically anything I get my hands on.
Yeah.
And then I saw a flyer for volleyball camp run by Ed Benish, who was the high school coach for the women's team at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Joined the camp. I didn't say anything about men or women's volleyball. I showed up. I was the only guy.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, which was pretty funny. And he was like, yeah, come on in. Love teaching volleyball. Taught me like a platform, like overhand passing, whatever, the basic stuff. And I did that for, I think it was like a 4-week thing, once a week.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, he gave me a T-shirt. He's like, hey, would you like to be a manager for the women's high school team? Because there's no boys volleyball in high school outside of like a handful of private schools. I was like, sure, I have nothing better to do. Why not? And so it was really fun learning the game from a more managerial and coaching side of things.
Yeah.
Because I could talk with him and be a part of their open gyms. And as I got a little bit better, I was able to play in their practices a little bit. And so that's kind of how I got my toes wet. By the time I liked it enough to realize there was even like a club option.
Yeah.
Club tryouts had already passed. But I played at this place called Volleyball House that was down in Eldersburg, Maryland. It was that location had been around for 20 plus years. Like my parents played there.
Oh, no way.
Which was super cool. And my mom to this day still beats herself up for not being the one to introduce us to volleyball. She always thought she'd have a daughter that would play, but never. So she's just kind of like. And my oldest brother Isaiah, he played baseball for the Yankees a little bit, and he loves volleyball. He's like, man, I wish I played volleyball. I forget all this baseball stuff. And so pretty unique being able to find it on my own. And so I grew up playing around like semi-pro college level players.
Yeah.
Aaron Russell has actually played at Volleyball House. I'm good with the Russells, good family friends with them. And so
nice.
we would go down there and play, which was always fun. We'd play from 6 p.m. to midnight.
Yeah.
And I ended up meeting one of my mentors there, Alexis. She saw me play and she was like, you're going to come in an hour early next week. I was just kind of like, okay, I mean, I guess if you want. And so she started training me there, doing some fun things, teaching me just basic principles that helped me elevate my game, which was really nice. It was more of a mindset thing. Hey, we're going to go from outside to in. You can see the court better.
Yeah.
That's all. Like, she kept it super simple, super plain. It was not in depth at
Yeah.
all with very sound reasoning, and I had no reason not to believe her.
Right.
So, which was good. And then by the time tryouts came out the following year, my sophomore year of high school, I tried out for Yorktown, which was good fun and really enjoyed my time there.
Nice. And now, so that's interesting. So basically, in your neck of the woods, Maryland, so boys, there's really no boys high school volleyball.
Nope. There's
Yeah.
only, I think, 2 or 3 clubs,
Yeah.
and then I mean, I went to a club up in Pennsylvania in order
Yeah.
to play. It's pretty scarce over there, which stinks. And nowadays, a lot of the open gym facilities have been closed down
Oh, shoot.
for like apartment rentals. Yeah, like volleyball house is gone. It's
Yeah.
been about 6 years now since it's
Oh,
been
wow.
gone, and so a lot of people moved out of the area. So even men's tournaments
Yeah.
and people that play for fun and still competitively no longer really have a space to play,
Yeah.
which has been a big bummer because anytime I go home, I'm like, where are the open gyms at? And they're like,
There's none.
I live in Seattle now. There's nowhere else to play. Like,
Oh,
man, this stinks.
yeah. So I'm originally from Canada, and back home in Canada, boys are playing volleyball in middle school and high school. And when we moved down here to Connecticut, I start, in my mid 20s looking to play ball someplace, and you see the level of play for back in the late 90s were just a lot of these guys sort of taught themselves, and there was no development process for a lot of the guys who want to play volleyball. Now it's you don't have the high schools, but you have clubs around, so that the guys are learning the game, and it's really it's sad because it's such a fun game, fantastic game to play.
I've never met somebody that hadn't seen or been around men's volleyball and gone to a game and been like, nah. They're always like,
Right.
it's so physical because it's easy to show physicality when somebody's getting dunked on or somebody gets
Yeah.
tackled really hard or you hit a ball 415 feet. Like
Yeah.
those very easy metrics. Everybody knows how big or how tall the rim is in basketball, but
Yeah.
people don't know being 10 is 11 feet. And we have people making contact above that. Like we have 40-inch verticals and
Yeah.
hitting the ball 60 miles an hour. Like it's exciting. It's very different from women's volleyball.
Yeah.
Uh,
Absolutely.
and it's a different way to play the game. And it's funny, my dad grew up thinking volleyball was a women's sport, and my mom played, and he saw guys play on the beach for the first time. He's like, "Is that the same sport?" And my mom's like, "Yeah, it's the same sport." Like, I'm trying to get into your head. This game is awesome. So
Right.
they ended up playing together for whatever 20
Yeah.
years. So I think that stigma behind it being like a women's sport has been changing a lot, which
Yeah.
I'm really happy about. But I think more people just need to be exposed to it.
Yeah, absolutely. But even the sport in general, I find with my daughter in high school playing high school, like the parents just think of volleyball as sort of a backyard picnicky type of thing. And when you take a parent who's never seen anything but high school up to a club or like go see the women play, it's like, oh, okay, this is a real sport. And then when you see like, the guys play at that speed, it's a different game from the women's side. It's like you said, really fast. Things are coming at you at at a really rapid pace. Two different games, but they're both fantastic games, and they're not picnic volleyball.
By no means is it picnic volleyball. I've been a part of a lot of picnic volleyball, but what I love about it the most is probably the community.
Yeah.
There is good money in volleyball. There isn't MLB, NFL money, so
Yeah.
it's really hard to get into volleyball just for the money, and the world is pretty small. I can think back, all of my good friends since high school have been affiliated with volleyball in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And it's to me, it's just such a really fun environment, and at the same time, it can be super
Hmm.
competitive and super visceral, and like you go to battle, you battle out there. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
And it's also one of those sports where guys and girls can play competitively in the same tournament, same game, whether you have like the guys hit out of the back row only, can't block
Mhm.
the front row. You can, there's rules and tournaments or rules in place to make it competitive for both people playing at the same time.
But I know plenty of girls that would come play at volleyball house and be on the top court with
Yeah.
everybody else. Sure, they may be setters or liberos, but they're balling out
Yeah.
just as much as anybody else. It's so
Yeah.
much fun. Mom always loved playing with the men more because she's like, at least they hit the ball at me. She's
Right.
just like, I'm trying to dive around and pick up tips. Like,
Yeah.
get it at me. She's very aggressive
Yeah. And
But to your point, it's awesome.
and what is the hook for you? You talked about the community. Is that the hook volleyball has on you that's made you stick with it and play it for so many years now?
In longevity, yeah,
Yeah.
I would say. I think it's also just a great sport to utilize my physical talents.
Yeah.
I think my like for example, my jumping ability, it could look good at times and say like basketball or the rare playing baseball or something like that. But
Yeah.
the fact that that is so prevalent in our game, which is fantastic. But I also love how complex and how much finesse is
Mhm.
required. Like there's just a certain touch about the game
Yeah.
where it's rare somebody just hops in and they're good at it. Like
Right.
there's an absolute learning curve,
Mhm.
and I'm a very cerebral person, and I really like thinking about the game. I like how many different responsibilities I have all at the same time, and it keeps me a little bit more level headed.
Mhm.
So if I'm only worried about one task and that one task isn't going well, in the past I've struggled like just being okay with that
Yeah.
versus oh, I have a hitting error, but now I get to focus on my passing. I'm just like,
Right.
boom, already on to the next thing. And I have so many things to worry about. To me, it makes it easier. And I just like all the responsibility of the game.
Yeah.
And it's just fun.
It is.
It's just so much
Absolutely.
fun, man.
Yeah. And speaking of fun, as an outside hitter, what do you enjoy most? Getting that one-on-one block or getting a huge kill flying out of the back row?
Out of those two, getting a huge kill out of the back.
All right.
I
And
think
then
one of my favorite sensations is when you're swinging, especially on your way up, and that ball hits the ground before you start falling down. Oh,
yeah.
that's just pure domination in that moment.
And then the other one, do you prefer getting that ace off of a wicked serve that you just did or taking that ball out to the pin and just, putting it straight down?
Ace.
Yeah.
Absolutely ace because you got 3 people ready, knowing it's coming to them. There's no guesswork. Like, it's coming to one of you,
Yeah.
it's just, "Is my serve better than your passing?" And
Yeah.
it's love it.
Excellent. So now, at Ohio State, what made you pick Ohio State?
Yeah, I would say the people more than anything. At the time, Pete Hansen was the head coach, but I had a good idea that Birch was gonna be the next coach. We saw that he had won 7 national championships consecutively as an assistant in men's, women's, D1, D3, all over the place, and so I figured he knew a thing or two about winning.
Yeah.
And then when I got here, the energy of the team was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. To my surprise, my brother Isaiah had a bad experience at another Midwest school, and so we were kind of hesitant about going to the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
But really enjoyed the environment of the team. We met with all the support staff when it comes to athletics and school. We were just blown away by how much support student athletes get here. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like in my eyes, there's no excuse not to do well. The resources are just fantastic.
Yeah.
The faculties are amazing, but honestly, that's not what sold me on the place. I don't need fancy gym. I don't need fancy carts. I don't need fancy clothes.
Yeah.
To me, it's all about that community and being a team together. And I remember when I walked in the St. John Arena for the first time, I was blown away. It felt like the Coliseum
Oh,
to me.
nice.
It was so cool. It was so cool. I'm like, I had to play in this. Unfortunately, I never got to, but it was just the idea of being able to compete in an
Yeah.
environment like
Nice.
this was what sold me.
Nice. And now, what was the sort of the biggest adjustment for that freshman year for you?
It was tough because at the time we were dealing with COVID.
Oh, your COVID year. Okay.
So that first official season with COVID was my freshman year. Um, Man, I don't even think about it much anymore. It feels so long ago. But I would say I learned how complicated the game can get for sure. I didn't feel as if I was physically behind
Mm-hmm.
per se. Um, but in terms of like making quick decisions in transition or thinking about the next moment instead of just the moment that you're in, all the different decisions you can now make with people
Yeah.
that because they're better. Like you have setters that can set different tempos, different locations,
Right.
you have passers next to you that can pass more. So you have to pull back a little bit and trust other people. Um, but I would just say overall that first year was just all about mental health
Yeah.
more than anything, not letting your identity get too wrapped up in the sport. Like, it's important to know who you are as an athlete, but I think it's even more important to know who you are as the person.
Yeah. And
Um, and athletes get like people feel athletes should act and behave a certain way, and to a degree, they do have a responsibility because they are public figures, but they're going through the human experience just like everybody else.
yep. And you're
So
balancing being a premier athlete at the school, a star, and also your college, all the workload that goes along to being a successful academic student.
exactly, it's super easy to get wrapped up in, oh, I'm the player or I'm the student, this, that, and the other. And
Yeah.
to me, that's never led to my happiness. And so understanding my joy for the game, my joy to being around my teammates, and what keeps me going has never been accolades or the the trophies. It's more about the competing
Yeah.
to get an opportunity to attain those trophies. And so, like, when I look at any award or anything I've physically earned, I always think back to the journey and the process it took to get that.
Yeah.
And so to me, those are all great reminders. But yeah, freshman year was to me all about mental health
Yeah.
and what that means.
Especially considering too being away from home, you had the isolation of being sort of locked down and limited to what you could experience and things like that. Yeah, like you said, that mental health aspect was probably a huge thing.
Yeah, it was definitely tough going from being at home for what 9 months, being like trapped with
Yeah.
there's 6 of us in that house.
Oh shoot.
We butted some heads, but it was a
Yeah.
great time. A great time for our family.
And now
Closer.
what about the level of play coming from club to now you're playing at college? Was it a big adjustment to, like you were saying, like the mind, the intellectual aspect of the game was different. How about the pace of the game, people hitting the same way? Were you able to step in and just be okay, I can hang here, or it took some time?
To me, because I grew up playing with men, I didn't feel like I was ever in an environment that I couldn't physically hang.
Yeah.
Now, my skills weren't refined enough to execute as well, obviously, as in club.
Yeah.
I mean, the skill gap is so crazy depending on what club team you're on and who
Yeah.
you're playing. But because I play with people bigger, faster, stronger than me, I was already used to that level of physicality. So to me, it was never intimidating. Like, I remember one of the first few times I played against Francesco Sani, I believe at a Bain tournament, he like bounced the ball 4-4 and it was in front of me, and I just got excited. I was like, that's the first time anybody's hit that hard at me. That's super cool. Like, that's fun. And so
Yeah.
to me, it was more about sharpening my skills so I can execute at that level with people at my skill and better than me. But then more than anything is my decision making. Like,
Yeah.
when I first got into the sport, I just wanted to bounce balls. Like, I
Yeah.
can jump, I can hit, I just want to bounce balls. Like, if I see a blocker, I'm not thinking, oh, go high, flat, and deep in case he gets a touch. It's no, I'm planting this 2 foot line.
Right.
That's what's fun for me.
Yeah.
And so, and I was able to do that when I first got in, but it's not the highest efficiency
Yeah.
by any means. The set has to be perfect. Your feet and timing have to be perfect. You're banking on the block, not reading the game in the moment.
Right.
You're just assuming they're going to go, oh, it's out, oh, it's over there. I'm just going to make a block move, and you bounce it inside. Like, that's what you're banking on.
Yeah.
And as you play against people that are better, they're not going to make
No,
those mistakes.
they're not. Yeah, they're not going to get duped or
So
anything like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I really had to train how to swing high, deep, and hard, because that's a recipe for success in almost any gym
Yeah.
you play in. And so, and then passing as well. Servers a lot more physical, floaters that can really
Hmm.
put it on the shoulder. Um, and it was the first time I really learned how systematic volleyball can be.
Yeah.
In club, it's just kind of like, I mean, you have your go ball, you have your high ball, you have like red ball. You kind of
Yeah.
like, you have the bases, you have a bic, but more often than not, it's like a pipe. Like, it's a lot less refined, and so you're just
Hmm.
banking on team chemistry and physicality, and being able to band together to beat teams. Versus here, it's like, yeah, everyone's physical, so we need a
Right.
system for each team based on their tendencies and what they like to do and their strengths and their weaknesses, and really learn how to attack teams with a plan. And so that was another thing.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I didn't know, because all the sports I ever played, it was just like, it's just physical.
Right.
I just kind of do it. If I'm good at it, great. If not, I'll work on it. But there was never a game plan to beat another team like that.
Yeah, when you come from club or high school into college, the skill gap is, high school may be from lowest level to the highest level. When you get to club, it's this. And now when you get to college, everybody's sort of that elite level of playing the game. And also add into, coming from club, you're playing with 18s, 17s. College now, you're playing with anybody from 18 to 22, 23. So a lot of people, more muscle, just the intelligence of, so it's got to be a big leap.
Yeah, it was. But it was a great environment for me to learn.
Yeah.
It's definitely important to get uncomfortable and like put yourself in check.
Yeah.
It's easy to think you're hot stuff walking in, and then it's like all the welcome to the NBA moments.
Right. Yeah.
It's necessary for everyone's development.
Yeah. And now, your senior year, what is the sort of looking back on the last 4 years? What have been some of the highlights for you?
Highlights, the fact that I'm still playing.
Yeah.
It's definitely what with COVID being miserable and injuries and all the hardship and the frustration, the fact that I was able to find a way to love the game again and in a new light.
Yeah.
is definitely one of my highlights. It's one thing to do it like in club, you do it twice a week. It's easy to love it. You're doing it twice a week. When you're doing it 6, sometimes 7 days a week with the same people, dealing with the same issues over and over again, man, you can get really caught up in it and lose sight of why you do it. You're just focused on the fact that you do it. Highlights. There are a lot of things that were cool, but like never a milestone for me.
Yeah.
Like I won the Karch Kiraly award last season. That was really cool.
Yeah.
I had no idea, didn't expect it, but I think that's a really cool accomplishment. This season, 80 was on my that was a goal I set for myself. I was like, at some point in my career, I want to hit 80.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would happen in college, but super happy and thankful that was able to happen. A lot of the relationships on my team are definitely highlights. Learning how to deal and problem solve with people from all parts of the country, let alone the world.
Yep.
I've had some international students that just absolutely adore and really enjoyed understanding their thought processes, their perspective on life and on knowledge. And probably the biggest highlight is people getting to watch me play.
Yeah.
A lot of people watch me grow up since I was 14 playing volleyball and get to see it come full circle.
Yeah.
That I get to play in college. Like playing in George Mason last year was really big for me because that's essentially my backyard. So many people that don't get to see that start to finish will start to later on in the process.
Right.
To me is super special, seeing the impact they've made on my life and the fact that I've been able to come this far.
Yeah.
Because of the people that supported me is for me, it's the best thing I can do for them is to play my absolute best and show them how much value they've added to my life.
Nice. Excellent. And now, looking back, if, the senior Jacob Pasteur could go back and tell freshman Jacob Pasteur some advice, what advice would that be?
It's not that deep.
There we go.
It was so easy to get wrapped up in all the little things.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of that is COVID, but I mean, it's the same thing almost all freshmen deal with.
Yeah.
Like you get there, you're not the best, then you kind of like lose your sense of self and like lose your identity as a player. So I would just say it's not that deep. And also like how to have a perspective within a match. Like all the matches that I've played where like it felt bad in the moment, I go back and watch film. I'm like, it wasn't as bad as it felt. and to try and understand that and try to keep like a more rational state of mind while I'm competing,
Yeah.
because it's like, yeah, I made 3 errors in a row, but they're good swings. They're high, they're deep, they're only out by a foot or two. Like, that's no real reason to lose confidence.
Right. Yeah.
But in previous times, you're just thinking, "Oh, another error. Oh, another error. Oh, another error," and then you just beat
Yeah.
yourself up. And another piece of advice is that there's a difference between hard on yourself and being down on yourself. I think we get the two mixed up. I
Hmm.
think it's important to be like, I know you can do better. Like, you know, this is something you need to work on, versus like, oh, you're bad. You're a bad passer.
Right.
You can't pass today. Like, that is not helpful in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Like, you can have a bad game and honestly reflect, well, how well did you prepare? You
Yeah.
know, it's a float serving team. Did you get some extra float serving reps in that week in preparation for it? And just the value
Yeah.
of preparation, I would say.
All right. There we go. And now, coming into men's college volleyball, your season doesn't start until January. So as a freshman, must have been nice to sort of get used to the college life and then roll into, okay, getting ready for, the volleyball side of things.
I actually didn't have that luxury, but that
Oh,
was also my choice. So
okay.
because it was COVID, we weren't even sure if we were going to have a season.
Yeah.
In my head, I'm like, why would I want to go be miserable away from home at a college campus, being isolated with people I don't know,
Yeah.
or take online classes and be at home?
Oh, shoot.
I'm going to do that. So I showed up, and they were like, we're having a season. You have like 2 weeks before our first game. You have to get in lifting and like running shape. I've
Yeah.
been doing stuff at home, but that just doesn't
No,
compare
it can't be. Yeah.
at all. Even when I go home now, I'll try to lift, and when I come back to school, I'm like, I feel like I did nothing. It just goes to show how impressive our bodies are when you train them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I showed up, had about 2.5 weeks to learn the system, get
Wow.
acclimated with the players, and boom, off to the races to play. So I can't really touch on that
Yeah.
because I didn't get that, but that was also my choice.
You're right. Oh, that's wild. And now,
Yeah.
what's that first practice of the year like? Everybody gets together. You meet the new kids coming in. What's that whole experience?
To me, there's a lot of buzz. Like, everyone, especially when you're a returner, you're excited to see everyone again. First off, you haven't seen them in a while.
Yeah.
Like, you have some closer friendships, but you're not keeping touch with all 22 other guys. Like, that's just not realistic.
Right.
A whole lot of buzz, but then there's like, this is gonna be bad. So there's like there's a fundamental understanding with the first like week of open gyms. Like, this is not gonna be pretty, but it's important to just work hard and play hard.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. Like, you'll get your touch back. You'll get the reps. When the coaches are back in the gym, you'll start getting feedback and stuff like that. But it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
Like, you're hanging out with your friends you haven't seen in 3 or so months, and you just get to play volleyball together. The weather is still warm, so you
Mm-hmm.
can go hang out outside afterwards. You're
Right.
not in that cold, depressive state in Ohio. Man, it's miserable,
Oh.
but it's just a whole lot of excitement, and
Yeah.
it's fun because you have these freshmen that come in that you kind of know
Mm-hmm.
from recruiting, but you don't know what they're like on a day-to-day basis. And
Right.
so I've made it a point to like try and grab lunch with all of like individually each of our
Yeah.
freshmen, like get to know them a little bit. Hey, where are you from? Like, got you into volleyball. Like, tell me like a little bit about your story. That way I can connect with you.
Yeah.
So when it comes to on the court stuff, we already have a relationship built. So
Yeah.
like, my feedback is coming from a place of to help you get better, and it's not personal. And I also get to understand what kind of feedback helps for you. Like, some people like to get yelled at, some people need like just a conversation.
Right.
And so it's some insight that way.
Yeah.
But it's always super exciting coming back. It's a lot of fun. You got fresh legs.
Yep.
People been pumping iron all summer. Like, everyone's just like, oh, ready to go.
Nice. And now, for those high school seniors that are going to be coming into playing, Division I college volleyball next year, what kind of advice do you have for them? What kind of, what should they be prepared for?
Learn to love how to learn.
Yeah.
Basically, you are going to learn so much about volleyball and so much about yourself. To my point earlier, it's one thing to do it 2-3 times a week,
Yeah.
but when you're demanding to be good every single day, 2+ hours every single day, on top of training your body hard on the court and in the weight room to be able to perform at a high level, and like, give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
It's very easy to go in there and immediately think you should be able to hang. If you show up and you can hang, you are in a very small 1 percentile, or your team's just not that good.
Right.
In reality, like, I want to go to a gym and go, wow, I
Yeah.
have so much to learn. Like, it was the same thing with my USA experience.
Mm-hmm.
I showed up and I'm watching people hit, and I'm listening to their discussions and how they're already thinking about the next play of the moment. I'm just
Yeah.
like, I'm trying to get to that.
Right.
And no, it's not going to be pretty. And I get, it's cliche it is, it's never going to be linear.
Yeah.
I mean, progress is,
Oh, yes.
sometimes you have to do this before you can make your way back
Yeah.
up. And to just like have respect for the older guys, and listen to the older guys, because they've been in your shoes and they're at hopefully where you want to be.
Right.
So don't like leave your ego at the door.
Yeah.
Simple. Like, you are entering a brand new ecosystem, and that's not to say you can't influence and impact it. I think it's also very important to understand you can come into a program and contribute and be valued, and it's not always as a starter.
Right.
Like, one thing we emphasize, especially this season, is that we need our B side to make the A side work.
Yep.
Because the only way the A side is going to get better, and the A side needs to put a whooping on the B side, because that's the only way they get better. And so,
Yep.
understand your role, whatever it may be, absolutely adds value to the team. Whether it is made known to you or not by like coaches and
Mm-hmm.
players, because not everyone is gonna let you know.
Yeah.
It's not, because a lot of people are kind of focused on their job, but understand that your role is valuable, and to not forget who you are as a person.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good point, that I often ask guests about, when those high school seniors come in as freshmen, they're coming in from a club play that they're the alpha, they're starters, and now they've got to adjust to this, this role. And it's often not easy. And it goes to, again, the mental aspect of being a freshman and having to all these adjustments.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I think it's important to like leave your ego at the door, not your confidence,
Yeah.
but your ego. Because you could show up and have one good practice because it's your first day, you're feeling yourself, like whatever, you got excitement, like you got the adrenaline. It is hard to get adrenaline in practice when you do it long enough. Like, you show up and you're like, man, not for anything, and yet it's for everything at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
And so leave your ego at the door, because you're going to learn a lot, because it's hard to be good over time, let alone great.
Yeah.
It's really hard to be good, but understand that it's worth it because it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like the cliche saying, like, nothing ever worthwhile was easy. And so you'll be very proud of yourself.
Nice.
And by understanding it's going to be hard, but sticking to it. Yep. And attention to the little things and the advice of your elders.
Yeah. And now, what does a travel week look like for you guys? Monday you guys have practice. Do you get when do you sort of review or do video session on who you're playing with? When do you take off? What does that week look like?
This travel schedule is terrible. This is probably my least favorite travel schedule we've had this season.
Yeah.
We've just had random games on like a Tuesday night.
Oh, okay.
Game on a Tuesday night. Or like just some like logistics, like they wanted everyone to have like equal amount of home games, and that just like destroys people's travel play. Like, it's not ideal. But for us, the way we run it is you are responsible for watching film on the other team. We will normally we have scout and film. Scout is the other team.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go over our scout as a team. So let's say we play on Thursday, we have scout Wednesday before practice.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about, we'll like spin a wheel, and then it's like, okay, Putnam, tell us about their outside hitter. What do you think? And so he'll give him his notes. It's a good way to hold players accountable to do out, because you don't know if you're going to get called on or not. I haven't been called on this year yet. It's been crazy. And so it'll be very easy to think like, I don't have to do scout, I'm not going to get called on.
Right.
And that's and so we'll have each person kind of touch on something that's like mostly relevant to them. Like we're not going to ask our middles too much about pin hitters. They need to know how to close, and they need to know the setter's tendencies when they're in terms of the pins.
Yeah.
And then the coach will send us the scout, and we'll go over all of his notes, and his overarching game plan, like who we want to serve, where do we want each position to be, what we're looking for, in general, and then we'll try to execute that strategy amongst ourselves in practice. So, like, let's say the target is the OH2. So when we're playing sixes, whoever the OH2 is, work on finding your rhythm and finding that player in each rotation to serve. And then we will go over more individual players' tendencies the day of the match.
Mm-hmm.
This player loves cross, if it wasn't mentioned already. Even if it is, we normally touch on it again. Loves cross, really focus on being inside. Stop inside, make him go by.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And then we'll compete. If it's a home game, we'll play. And then normally, if we have 2 games that week, it's normally the next day we'll do film. Mm-hmm. So we'll watch the game we just played and basically how well did we execute our system and how well did we execute our game plan. It's like our defensive system and game plan are technically 2 different things.
Yeah.
Just basically see where we're at, how we felt throughout the game. But then we normally, in terms of like offensive fixes, we normally do individual film. So like Hudson is our offensive coach. So it's up to you and on you and heavily influenced for you to go meet with him in his office. To go over individual stuff you need to work on. Like we can talk about like outsides in general. You guys were pretty early. We need to be a little bit more slow to fast. But then you go into film. It's like, okay, your slow to fast is fine. It can be better in a little bit, but you really need to focus more on this.
Yeah,
like coming outside in or swinging deep or stuff like that. And then also it depends on who we play in our conference. So, for example, for Ball State, normally we do a day trip. They're about 2.5 hours away. Normally we'll just bus in the morning, serve and pass. Sit around for a few hours, warm up, play, bus back. But this week we decided to practice here on Wednesday, bus there, dinner. I think we scouted once we got there. Did we? I don't know, something like that. Watch some film next morning, and we scouted again, serve and pass, and then go out.
Yeah.
Play. Next week, we leave pretty early. We leave Wednesday. We travel Wednesday. I believe we play McKendree Thursday, travel to Lindenwood Friday, compete against Lindenwood Saturday, but then we won't get home till like 5 a.m. on Sunday. Oh yeah. With this travel stuff, you just forget about time. You're just like, I'll get back when I get back. The bus rides get tedious. And so I just try to like put music on and close my eyes and just try not to acknowledge time passing. And I'll get there when I get there. But some things like when we went out into Austin, Texas and California, we fly for those trips, thankfully. But with our conference and the men's volleyball budget, we do a lot of busing.
Gotcha. All right. And now, within the team itself, is there any traditions you guys have that, that's unique that you guys do?
I would say like our pregame hype up. We yell and scream a lot. It normally starts off with like a skit of some sort. So Justin Howard normally runs it. We've had times where he's been rolled in the laundry bin, just screaming. We've had people at sword fights with foam rollers. We've had peanut butter and jelly sandwiches smushed on face mat. They get really creative with it. It's just it's definitely a highlight for our game day. In terms of other traditions, me and a couple of our other players on the team we'll pray together before games. Me, Hudson Harris, Grant at home games. It'll be Christian Cold. And then we now have our assistant coach, Hudson Bates, joining us as well. So that's something we've been doing as well in terms of ritual. But
How about
uh,
yourself? Do you have any pregame thing that you always go through? It's like, a certain way you get ready?
nap.
Oh, okay.
I think naps are crucial for me because after serving pass and after thinking about scout, to me, I just need to like shut my brain off. I mean, it's gotten to a point where I've taken like 8-minute naps,
Yeah.
and like my brain has been able to turn off that quickly. I'm
Oh,
just
wow.
like I'm overstimulated.
Yeah.
I just need to like calm down, sit up. And that 8 minutes could feel like 15 minutes in my head, and it's just a good way for me to just clean slate
Mm-hmm.
because even how you perform in serve and pass is not necessarily indicative of how you're going to perform
Yeah.
in game. And so just kind of like a reset for me. And I love music. And it's funny, our technical coordinator, Nate Wilson, he'll come up to me and ask me what I'm listening to because nobody knows what I'm going to end up listening to each day. I've gone all over the place. I've listened to like classical music before games,
Mm-hmm.
rap, country, uh, um, not really EDM. Um,
What's something, what is a group or an artist flying under the radar you think that people should check out?
should check out. Recently, is an artist named Maggie Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
She has a pretty unique sound. I've listened to her stuff a lot. She's actually from Maryland, which is pretty
Okay.
cool. She's been getting a little bit more popular, but she's definitely been under the radar a little bit for me that I've been thoroughly enjoying.
All right. And now, who's the joker on the team? Who's the one guy that can just lighten that moment when you got a tense situation and you just need something to crack that?
Nate Wilson,
Yep.
our technical coordinator. He has a lot of fun relationships and dynamics on the team. Like him and Noah Platfooter is arguably, not in my eyes, but some argue the funniest duo. Like the way they interact with each other, they know each other so well.
Yeah.
They are constantly like bantering and like throwing tantrums at each other and just like, oh man, you can't have a bad day and see them together
Nice.
and still feel bad. So they're definitely a big light
All
in
right.
our program.
And now, being there 4 years, is there a certain day or a couple of things on the calendar that are always circled? Whether it's senior night or a certain game that you guys, we're ready for this one.
Anytime we go out west
Yeah.
or face West Coast teams, I know I am so glad I got to play at BYU. I know that was something that was huge for me. I love that so much. That's probably one of my favorite games I've ever played
Yeah.
in my 4 years here. Just the environment of like it's like 4,000 fans. Like
Oh, wow.
we set their record attendance at the time for that season, and just like so much fun because they're at BYU, but they're also fans. So
Mm-hmm.
like if you're good, they're like, for example, there would be some fans that were like, "Boo Ohio State," but number 7, you're fine. Just stuff like that. They truly appreciate the sport. They still have their loyalties, but
Yeah.
they're not nasty. They're not like you don't have to deal with them. They truly bring a whole lot of energy and a lot of fun. Me personally, always UCLA.
Yeah.
Always circling it on my calendar. I've got good friends on that team, and obviously Sprawl's my coach over the summer, so it's always fun to go to battle with them. Um, Playing, it's funny. Playing at Quincy has always been circled for
Mm-hmm.
us. They've developed as a program so much over the years. I remember when we scouted to play them, we were kind of like, "This is not the Quincy we know." They are good. They've developed so much, but we were the older classmen especially were pretty upset that we didn't get to play in the Pepsi Arena
Yeah.
the Bird's Nest one last time. Ball State's always fun, especially at Ball State. I think for me personally, partially because I never got to compete in St. John, and
Yeah.
so Worthing Arena is very similar to it. So being in that environment and that Coliseum feeling
Yeah.
has always been special for me.
Nice. All right. And, what is your most hated or despised drill that the coaches run at you, make you run through?
I don't despise any of them anymore because I'm so used to it. But I would say out of the 4 years, drill called force setting.
Yeah.
By no means is this a difficult drill in any way, shape, or form, but we okay. So it's 5v5. There's no middle blocker.
Mm-hmm.
You have 2 pins, 3 in the back. It's a cooperative drill. And so the game plan is all of the swings have to be swung to zone 1. So the setter digs it, non-setter setting, whatever, nice hard step close. We're not asking anybody to whale it, but
Yeah.
you're not allowed to hip it and roll it because you want to make zone 1 better and out of system setting better. Man, we've had practice days where that's all we did
Oh,
because we couldn't get 15 in a row.
yeah.
And it's like, all right, you have 10 minutes to get a 15 ball rally. And we just can't do it. Oh man, it gets so chaotic, and we just lose track of like how simple the drill actually is.
Yeah.
But it's a great drill for our team
Right.
because that's what it's like when you're in the heat of the moment. You forget the simple things, and the more you can train, focus on the simple
Yeah.
things, you'll be a lot more successful. But that's the one.
That's the one.
We've learned to love that one. Good night.
Nice. All right. So I got a question from one of my high school or one of the high school coaches that are in our circle here, and they want to know what drills or techniques do you find the most effective for improving your hitting accuracy or power?
Accuracy for me, it was having like land markers.
Yep.
So my mentor Alexis would put a chair in 4-4.
Yep.
He's like, you either have to hit the chair or hit inside of the chair. I don't really care how you do it because I want you to get a feeling of what it's like to get on the inside of that ball and hit it in that direction.
Yeah.
That's not a roll shot. Another thing we worked on was like out of system swinging is having those antennas,
Mm-hmm.
having to hit around them. So for me, having physical landmarkers and goals helps
Mm-hmm.
a lot. Like it's really hard to serve seams when you don't have any passers or
Right.
boxes or anything like that. Like you're just kind of like aimlessly serving because different teams are going to line up their passers differently. So
Yeah.
you got to be able to adjust to that. In terms of power, it's all about speed
Yeah.
and the transition from your jump to your swing. So like your last 2 steps, your step close has to be like violent. Like it has you have to be launching off that ground because you turn that momentum because it's like a whip.
Right.
And your trunk and your legs are the handle. And as you come up, it's just the snap of the wrist.
Yeah.
And so being able to step close hard and putting your momentum behind the ball and just letting your arm go. Like as soon as you tense up, it's like when you're throwing a ball. When you tense up, really try to throw it. A, it hurts, and B, you lose all elasticity in your arm.
Yeah.
Because like there's no like real transfer. It's just brute force. And so just have a quick arm and really hard step
All right.
close. That'll be good for serving and attacking.
Yeah. And then speaking of serving, you cracked 80. What was there a couple of drills or what really helped you to sort of get over that, get your serve speed up higher? Was there a couple of things that the coaches helped you with or just something you just developed over time?
I would say it's more over time.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about strength training with my time at USA. Um, and so understanding the value of how important it is to have all of your shoulder unit to be strong because like, when you swing and you decelerate, your scaps in the back are doing all the work to slow that arm down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you're just asking a whole lot of this front shoulder really lean into it and you're making contact overhead, you're not throwing, so it's a different mechanic and different strength you have to build in your shoulder. And so I really learned a lot about shoulder health in general. I got stronger in like weaker positions. Like before I couldn't be able to like bring my arm behind my ear.
Yeah.
Like I showed up to the gym and I went like this. And Tim, our strength coach, was like, we're going to go on an adventure. Which is his fun way of, we're going to do some hard things and you're going to get better.
Yeah.
And
Excellent.
so
Oh,
that, I remember that serve, you have to have a good toss.
yeah.
Have to.
Now it seemed like everybody who has a really fast serve, it's a high toss. It's like like an exaggerated high toss.
It's important to have like a super consistent toss as well. But I like the high toss because it gives me more time to adjust to it.
Yeah.
Like the super low tosses, your jump is pretty much committed to like a perfect toss.
True.
You're not perfect. So for me, I like a higher toss, because I jump higher.
Yeah.
Because as the ball's coming down, I'm coming up. So it's a pretty small window for it to connect really well.
Yeah.
And so it gives me more time to adjust. Is it in front of me? Is it too far?
Yeah.
Is it left, right? So I really like high toss because it gives me a lot more options when things aren't great. But I remember in that game, the serve was just going where I wanted it to. And so when I developed that like green light where I'm like, okay, I can just swing really hard because it's just whatever's working is working right now.
Yeah.
I went back, and part of it was I was frustrated. I think there was a block move prior that I thought I had, and it was, I think it was like the same just off my outside hand. It happened like 2 or 3 times. And I was pissed. Like I was so frustrated with myself. And I was like, well, I've given myself the green light behind the line. I've hit 78 earlier in that, like, I think a game prior or something like that. And I was like, I'm angry. I'm annoyed, but I'm not going to be reckless about it. I think that's also important. Like, it's easy to go, I'm annoyed, I'm just going to wail at it. It was a process of my serve is working. I like my toss. I like my rhythm. I feel strong right now. Those are all my boxes. I'm going for it.
Yeah.
And I was surprised. I remember it's one of the ones where you're so in the zone, like you forget the moment it happened. Like I remember the tossing and I remember jumping. But then after that, I remember nothing. I remember watching the ball hit off his platform and go up.
Yeah.
And then I kind of like,
and it went up and hit the ceiling.
I have yet to see that in Cabela. That was crazy. And then I like leaned over and like saw the speedometer. Yes. So I was like, yes, finally. Super cool moment. That
nice. And now, earlier we talked about USA. So you made Team USA. You're playing with them. When did you get on the radar, and how did that whole sort of process come together?
It originally started at the end of the summer, my freshman year. I was invited to do a U21 camp because Birch was the head coach for that. And he's just kind of like, I'm not really going to coach you, but that's because you already know what I'm looking for. I want you to learn from these other coaches.
Okay.
Kind of like, I know I'm here, but like, go be free. Like, don't worry about me being here, which was fantastic. I think that was a marvelous way to handle that situation because I still hated volleyball at the time. I was just like, you want me to go to California? You go be coached by my head coach again?
I just had a season. I just need some time off.
But that actually went really well because I played right side my freshman year. I finally got to play outside during that. It was my first time truly playing with the Mikasa International ball. I'd heard so many things about it. I finally have an opinion on it. I love that ball so much. And got to play with kids my age and my caliber, which was super fun. Bulgaria ended up coming out. Their U19 team. Nikolov was actually on that team, which looking back was funny. No idea he'd be back. It was just like a nice refresher that like, man, this high level ball is fun. Like this is so much fun. A lot less pressure. We're just doing scrimmages and stuff like that. I had a lot of fun. And then because I did well with that, I got invited to do a Pan American Cup with Andy Reid, who's at Long Beach. We went to the Dominican Republic. And so was right side for that. Played a little bit. that was the first time I really had to come to terms with like playing time.
Yeah.
That trip taught me a lot about what it actually means to be a team player, and
Mm-hmm.
again, embracing your role. Like,
Right.
am I happy? Am I happy I'm not starting right now? No,
No one
but
is.
I'm going to be in a frame of mind where when my number's called, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Like I'm ready. I'm ready to prove my point for the team, not necessarily for myself. You know, and so that was a really cool experience, culture wise as well. Very thankful to be back in America after that.
Yeah.
Just like, I mean, everything to the water is dangerous, and
Right.
that was my first time out of the country. That was like I went to like Italy in middle school. I got to see like touristy stuff. This is the
Right.
first time I was like down in it with a different culture,
Yeah.
and love that trip a lot. And I was like, cool, all right, I think I can get back into this and get ready for another college season. And then um, that season went meh. Season wasn't great,
Yeah.
but that was my first full season in my career playing it outside. So I was very, very happy and thankful for that. And got wind that I was going to be invited to the VNL roster, the 25 people.
Yeah.
Really know what that meant, but I was like, sick. And it was explained to me, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
um, and yeah, I got invited out there.
Now,
Which
what was
was
that first moment like? You're coming out of the court, and now here are Olympians. You have sort of legends, and now here you are coming onto the court.
there were a couple things. I am not one to like idolize people. Like the only person I was excited to meet was Aaron because I'm family friends with him and I had never met him. I'm like, I finally get to meet Aaron. He's the last brother I haven't hung out with. I'd heard a lot of things about like TJ, like people were like, "Oh, I care about TJ. He's emotional, this, that, and the other." And I remember my original thought was like, I want my own take on it.
Yeah.
That's something that was taught to me is like your interaction with people can be very different from like
Mm-hmm.
outside in. Like even going to Yorktown, people are like, "Oh, Yorktown's bad, this, that, and the other." Their kid wasn't good enough to play, and so they were upset, and so they just slandered Yorktown. I had a
Right.
great experience, and so I remember coming in like, "Oh yeah, that's Aaron Russell. Oh yeah, that's Jeff Jendrick. Oh yeah, there's Matt. Oh yeah." Like I'm just like, "Okay, I'm here." I'm just kinda like, "I'm here. This is what it looks like." But I was most excited to learn their like and watch their craft. Like
Right.
how do they warm up? How do they lift?
Yeah.
How do they train? How do they talk to each other? Like to me, I was all about just being a sponge. Like I want to learn so much from all these people.
Yeah.
And I knew that's an environment I had to be on my game every single day.
Yeah.
And so it was a really good challenge for me. That is by far the most I've ever been consistently challenged
Yeah.
playing volleyball. And I was just super excited. I was like,
Nice.
man, I get to play the best in the world and learn from them. Like,
Yeah.
how cool is that?
And
Like,
now,
despite the frustrations, you know?
what was the level of play like from going, playing in college, and now you're playing at this level? Is it a night and day, or is it just more of okay? It is night and day.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Like, you have people that are so accustomed and so fine tuned to the game. If club were missing by 5 feet, in college we're missing by like 2 or 3 feet.
Yeah.
We're missing by inches. Like
Yeah.
I was doing hitting lines with Micah, and he's like, I hung it half a ball high. I'm like, we're worried about half a ball high. Like, that's the level
Yeah.
of accuracy and precision we're looking for. I was just like, I could do this. I was just like, I can get used to this. This is great.
Oh,
um, absolutely big difference because it's similar to the jump to college where everyone's physical, but here everyone's smart.
right.
And so it's you're playing the game within the game. And so it's truly fantastic. You have people thinking about things from different perspectives. Like one
Yeah.
thing I learned from Matt Anderson was how to serve from the mindset of a passer. He's like, one of the hardest balls to pass is the ball that starts on your left and goes to your right. and you still have to pass it right. He's like, that's hard. So serve that. And I was like, that's a really good point.
Yeah, that's next level right there.
That is next level.
Yeah.
And just understanding, like, is their middle fronting R31 or is he fronting our back one? And if so, they're going to have to travel that much further to get out to the outside. So
Yeah.
I'm more likely to just swing high and inside because I know the middle is going to be like just little things where you're not worried about how to execute. You're just worried about what to execute and when.
Yeah.
And so it's fantastic. It's mind blowing.
Nice.
I'm just sitting here spinning.
Yeah.
You guys are thinking about what right now? I'm trying to pass the ball.
Yeah, when Micah Christensen was on, and he was talking about when he was at USC, he'd go play with the team, then come back to college, and he'd drive his college players nuts because he'd had all this tips and things. And how was that your experience? You know, same thing, coming back home and like, guys, you're not going to believe this.
For me, I asked a couple of players about it. Like, I remember talking to TJ about it and coming back. He was like, it's hard. It's hard. You're going to world class, to people where college is as far as they go.
Right.
Like, that level of bought in and commitment is just not the same. So you can't expect it. So that was something I had to learn, was to work with what I have and not wish I had something else.
Yeah.
And to consistently put myself back in their shoes. Like, hey man, 3 months ago, I was thinking the same things you were, but now I'm not. But I also have to remember, you don't have the experience that I have.
Right.
And so I have to meet people where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to remind myself to do that time and time again. Like, even now, there's so many times where I'm like, what are we thinking about? Like, what are we like? Oh, this is so trivial. And yet they haven't had the same experiences as me, and they haven't had the same sense of urgency to master their craft. Because that's the other thing. Like some people are just trying to win a national championship. I'm trying to go to the Olympics. Like, that's a whole different level of commitment to mastery, where I have to understand this is what they want to accomplish, and that's fine. Like, I would never hold that like, oh, you only want to play in college. No, even that's such a small percentile. Or you're just playing club. Like, you have to understand what they want to accomplish.
Right.
And so just meeting people where they're at, learning how to talk to people in different ways. Like I said about personal relationships, it's important to understand what dialogue works. But more than anything, trying to set the standard with how I play.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I can't ask people to do things I'm not doing myself.
Nope, that's true.
And just try to be a good example of what hard work really looks like.
Nice. All right. And now, you know, we're coming into last few matches over the next few weeks, probably, maybe month and a half for the end of your career. What do you think senior how's that going to go down?
I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for it. I've learned a lot here in this space. I'm still trying to process in the background. Like, I'm only going to have so many more times in this film room. Acting with these people or dealing with these problems and stuff like that. So I've just been trying to come from a place of just gratefulness.
Yeah.
I think it's so easy to get caught up on the next thing and the next thing. Like, what's up with this summer, and what's up with pro, and then what's up with that. But I'm not there.
Right.
I'm here. And so really just trying to appreciate here and now, because this is only 4 years of my life.
Yeah.
And I have the rest of my life to be an adult.
Yep.
And so enjoying the college campus, the college lifestyle, as much as I am over it. Like, I'm so over it. I'm done living with 7 other people in my house.
Yeah.
I'm done dealing with parking. Oh man. Like, there's so many little nuances that I'm ready to be done with, but there are so many things I'm going to look back on with very fond memories of, and understanding that I'm in the good old days.
Yes.
To an extent.
Yeah. What do you think you're going to miss most of the college experience? And I've had a couple other seniors on, and they talk about they're going to miss the locker room. That's something that they are going to miss the most.
I I would say locker room's up there, but for me personally, I think the safety net of failure
Yeah.
in college. You can fail a lot in college, and it's okay. It feels like the end of the world at the moment,
Right.
like, but you can switch degrees. You can completely alter your career path. You can do so many different things within your 4 years that, like, if you're 40 and you're like, I don't like this career anymore. I want to do something else. That is so much harder
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
than right here and now. I think specific to Ohio State, I'm gonna miss being around so many high level athletes.
Yeah.
I have gone and watched every single team, I think, except for swim and dive compete.
Yeah.
Like, I love watching our women's ice hockey team play. Like, I think they're in the Frozen Four right now
Mm-hmm.
and looking to get another national championship. I'm very good friends with our softball team. Like, I love going to our pistol events, tennis, soccer, like so many high level athletes. Like, we have a bunch of Olympians on this campus.
Yeah.
And just the access to greatness to me is something I'll miss a lot.
Yeah.
Just being like, oh yeah, there's hockey on. I'm gonna go watch hockey for free because I'm a student.
Right.
Stuff like that where you really have to plan and organize to do that later
Yeah.
on in life to a degree.
Right.
I would just say how condensed the sport world is. I
Okay.
love watching all these other teams compete.
Excellent answer. And now, if your coaches are going to listen to this, what kind of what would you like to say to them?
Whether it was intentional or not, thank you a lot for all the lessons I've learned. It's been fun growing with Birch, Wood, and Hud throughout our tenure here. It's like Birch is still a relatively new head coach, and he's learning at the same time that we are. And so it's been difficult, but definitely beneficial to learn and grow together. I
Yeah.
think we've been able to help each other out a lot in that space for the betterment of both of our careers. Um, Hudson and I have had a roller coaster of relationship, but right now it to me it's really come full circle. And it's been fantastic. It's been like I even told him, like, the older I get, the more I understand him, and so our relationship has grown a lot recently. Um, and I think Wood is the hardest working coach I think I've ever
Yeah.
seen. I mean, he and all of his stuff goes unnoticed, and he's okay with it, and I respect that so much. The amount of hours he spends watching film,
Yeah.
coding, dealing with our system, like, he deals with so much and doesn't really complain about it. He's about his work. He's also the first to put things down to come help you out, to get extra reps, extra film.
Yeah.
He is definitely an unsung hero. He has been such a backbone to this program, and everyone on the team sees it,
Yeah.
whether they voice it
All
or
right.
not.
Excellent. And now, you're going to hand the torch over to, this as you're a senior, you're moving on. You're going to hand the torch over to the next group of leaders. What advice do you have for them, or words?
Work with what you have. I think it's going to be really important. At your time at school, it's going to be very easy. Oh, I wish they were just better. I wish they were just this, or I wish this would happen. But focused on what you can do with your job. If you want them to be better, hey, let's get extra reps. Go with them. Like,
Yeah.
help them take the steps they need to get better. Have hard conversations. Our class got very good at it, and it shows
Mm-hmm.
with our relationships. We can talk about tough things and move forward together because of it. And don't get caught up in the superficial stuff. Don't get caught up in the ring. Don't get caught up in the trophy. Don't get caught up in the individual accolades.
Yeah.
Get caught up in the pouring into your teammates, and get caught up in why you play the game. Get caught up in mastering your craft.
All right. Excellent. And now, when you're not training, you're not at practice, you're not playing, what do you like to do away from the court? What's your sort of your hobby or something you just enjoy doing?
At school, I, again, love watching all these other sporting
Yeah.
events. I have some good friends on other teams, so I like to spend time with them, especially when we're both in season. We don't get to see each other a whole lot.
Yeah.
So when I do have opportunities to see them, I really love just hanging out, whether it's going to grab food
Yeah.
or just whatever,
Yeah.
TV's on, and we're just chopping it up. I really enjoy indoor go-karting.
Oh, no
I
way.
haven't been much this semester,
Yeah.
but nothing gets me in the flow state quicker. Oh man, I love it. I'll do 4 laps without blinking.
Yeah.
Love it, go-karting. A lot of movies, a lot of music. I have a keyboard in my room. I
Yeah.
like to dabble the keys. A lot of video games.
What are you playing these days in video games?
These days, I'm playing mostly Rocket League.
Yeah.
Which was another thing. It's funny. I wanted to push myself in that avenue because I always loved video games. And this was like a competitive video game. And I was like,
Yeah.
I want to see what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
What was it 3 summers ago? I got like the top 1 percentile and like effectively retired from trying that hard.
Yeah.
But that was a really fun accomplishment of mine. Oh, Rocket League. Play Rocket League. I've recently been playing a lot of Fortnite.
Yeah.
I don't play a whole lot of shooters anymore, but that's something that I can play with my friends.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is my friends don't take competing as seriously as I do. So
Yeah.
I can't like, we're going to get good at this. So no, we need to step back and just have some fun. If we win, we win. If not, can't ruin my day.
Right.
Love Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
My PS3 hero. I'll play a lot of Guitar Hero. Games like Monster Hunter, game called Brawlhalla, which is similar to Super Smash Bros.
Yep.
Minecraft, Bond, which is good fun. When I'm back at home, motorcycles.
Oh yeah.
Love our motorcycles. I've had my license for 3-4 years now. My 2 older brothers ride, my dad rides, and my grandpa rides, and so I'll drag anybody out to ride
nice.
with me. Me and my grandpa actually like to get lost. We'll just pick a direction.
Oh, nice.
Meander.
Yeah.
We're like, wow, we're 2 hours away. We should probably head back. Just find our way back.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
and again, seeing old family and friends when I'm
Yeah.
home. Like I don't get to see Paul Russell too much anymore, which stinks, but it's always important for me to really block out and value that
Yep.
time together there. I like to be on the phone a lot. I'm calling a whole lot of people, FaceTime, just staying in touch with some good friends of mine. I don't know. I'm very social. I like to be out and about.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, you made it through the podcast. But before I let you go, though, I'd like to shout out or recommend somebody in your volleyball circle that would have a good story to come on and share.
Tim McIntosh.
Okay.
He is the epitome of hard work. He has had a great impact on my life. He has been someone I got really close to this past summer, and just always a pleasure to be around. He's been through a lot of life.
Mm-hmm.
Made a sizable impact volleyball wise, and just an overall great person, great personality, and
all right,
he'd be a lot of fun to talk to.
Excellent. Oh, one other thing. So, end of this year, you're wrapping up your college career. What do you got planned? What's on the roadmap for you? What would you like to do?
So far, play some summer ball.
Yeah.
Which would be nice. And then right now I'm shopping around, but it looks like I'm going to play in France.
Nice.
Obviously nothing's official due to eligibility, but it's looking like I'm going to go play in France for a little bit. And I would like to honestly play at the highest level that I can as long as I enjoy it.
Yep.
That's kind of my take on my motivation to play. I mean, obviously it's going to be hard.
Yep. Absolutely.
But as long as I still have that joy and passion to train that hard that often, to be in another country, to travel the world, stuff like that. As long as I'm willing to put into it, that's what I'd like to do. And then after that, I'd love to come back and coach.
Nice. All right. Well, again, thank you, man. It was wonderful to meet you, and good luck the rest of the season.
Yeah, thank you so much. I love being on here.